Could you turn down those headphones for a moment? Okay, what do we got? I love how we are figuring stuff out as we do this. It makes me feel good. Come on. There we go. Wait, what? Oh, we're good? Is that what that was? Okay, here we go. Short forecast this afternoon in the west from Northland to Taranaki, also Coromandel, partly cloudy with isolated showers for you today. Bay of Plenty, the central high country and Gisborne to Wairarapa are mainly fine, but areas of cloud and frosts tomorrow morning. Isolated showers also about eastern Bay of Plenty tomorrow. Wanganui to Wellington, cloudy periods developing this evening with isolated showers for Kapiti tomorrow. Bulla, partly cloudy with isolated showers but increasing tomorrow. For Nelson, Marlborough and Canterbury, fine with frosts returning tonight. Cloud increasing tomorrow with a few showers about Nelson later. For Westland and Fiordland, showers about Fiordland today, turning to rain with heavy falls tomorrow morning and spreading north to Westland tomorrow afternoon. Then Otago and Southland have a mainly fine day. Cloud increasing tomorrow with a few afternoon and evening showers. Cool. Mm. Oh, right. So if we talk now, is this coming through on the stream?
I don't think it's supposed to be, but I think it may be. There's some.
Hello to everybody who might already be on the stream. You can probably just see a big screen up right now that says welcome to Trending, but you're with Andrew here. Josh with me as well.
I've taken down said screen.
Oh, really?
So
now it's just our faces?
If they have tuned in early, they
Nice.
get a preemptive pre-show.
Hey, cool. Welcome, everybody. The pre-show. I love it. You know, we should talk this up. Talk this up before the show starts. Say, by the way, if you want to be a part of the pre-show, et cetera, et cetera. But here we are. So thank you for joining us, everybody. Very exciting. Kind of surprising, too, by the way. Don't mind telling you. The number one news story.
You're going to reveal the number one.
Surprised me.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's all I'm going to say. All right, calm down.
I just thought, like, the whole premise of the show is, you know, what is the number one news story?
No, Josh. The whole premise of the show is that you and I go through the news in a hilarious manner.
Well, that
is the premise.
That's why they have us here.
That is mostly
in
the
these
reason.
seats.
How are you all, by the way? Looking forward to seeing you guys in the chat. Remember, just like throw your questions, your comments, whatever. And just actually talking shop with Josh for a second. So do you still get that notification page as well with all those things that may or may not come through, or does that?
Yeah, I should have that. I believe I have that up right now.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yep.
Nice. Maybe we need to get you a bigger screen.
I could certainly do with a second monitor.
Yes.
All of the various screens on the one laptop is
maybe
fun times.
Maybe next thing to do is we'll talk to Technical about getting, because we need a kind of a co-host screen anyway. And if you had a co-host screen plus that laptop, you'd be set.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So cool.
Simple economics.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want to support Trending in particular, donate to 058.
No, it's rema.co.nz. You don't donate to the phone number.
Well, but you can phone 0508 003 003 is what I was going to say.
Is that number live, though, when we're not in appeal mode?
I think so. Pretty sure.
Oh.
Pretty sure it just goes through to the office.
Oh.
Outside of appeal times. Because otherwise you'd have to, like, disestablish the number, reestablish, up, down, whatever.
Right.
Like, it's probably just not worth all the stuffing around. Because you only pay when people call it. Oh, mind you, there might be, I don't know. If you know anything about the finer points of toll-free phone numbers, you're welcome to get in touch as well today. What can I tell you ahead of time? Let's have a look. What do we got? I mean, there is some sports stuff. Pleased to see that I got my wish, and there is no Olympics, as far as I can tell. Or at least none that we're going to talk about today. So that's a blessing.
Oh, baby, we are live. Just
hoorah. That's how we announce it around here. Hello, everybody. In case you weren't already aware of what you were watching, just so you guys know as well, because this is the pre-show, right? Your reward is knowing some background stuff. My wife is my at-home technical observer, so she lets me know if she can see stuff from our place. So I'm going to message her now, but you can always message us in the chat as well, right?
That is right. rema.co.nz for both streams, either Facebook or YouTube. Super simple. Comment below. Or, of course, if, well, we're not on air yet, so I was going to say the traditional way, but nobody listening right now
That's true.
is listening via the radio.
Ooh.
So there's no point in saying 8168.
With the keyword Rima.
Rima.
You're right, Josh. There's never a point to say keyword life.
Well, see, it's good to make that mistake during the pre-show.
That's right. So I don't have to mock and boo you live during the
Exactly.
show and break down your tender millennial self-esteem. Let me know if you can see the stream. Okay. And
Wifey.
then adorable emojis.
Yes.
And that's enough of that. Okay. So how long we got? Not too long. A couple of minutes, everybody. Then some news. So probably about 5 and a bit minutes out, perhaps.
Do you want to talk about our discovery around this 700 Club mug?
Yeah. Shall we talk about faulty merchandising? So the observation was made, I thought, very well by one Joshua Beatty about the number of people who are left versus right-handed.
Yeah. Most people right-handed.
Massively. 9 to 1.
The logo for said 700 Club
Yep.
on this mug is designed that if you hold it in your left hand,
Then
it is
logo was
seen
out.
to the world. Yeah.
But then I guess you ask yourself, who are you rewarding? Like if you bought that as a sign of your fandom of the 700 Club and you want to get that warm fuzzy of saying, hey, I support is that supposed to be for you?
Right. You're supposed to see it yourself and be like,
Yes, yeah, I did this.
Cheers.
Or would you feel more satisfaction knowing that you were a champion of the 700 Club?
I feel like because you know the 700 Club,
Yep.
it's about being like, hey, showing the world, like you're representing. Like when we buy Rima merch, which you can, by the way.
Oh, really?
Rima.co.nz. Pretty
Can
sure.
you? I don't think you can.
Really?
I don't think there is. I had this
We need to
conversation
change
with
that.
somebody just recently. Exactly.
Because I have Rima merch.
Well, so do I. That jumper that we both have, not individual, like we both have our own jumper. We don't share it.
Joint custody on a jumper.
It was part of the settlement when Josh went to the Life FM drive show. It was at weekends, the jumper's with me, and then weekdays it's with him.
Yeah.
And then school holidays, we figure things out between us. There isn't a page on the Rima website, as far as I can tell, that facilitates the purchase of merch, which I feel like
That's a shame.
people would like.
Hey, Chuck in the chat right now.
Great
you want
point.
Rima merch?
Do you want Rima merch?
Look,
Make
you're
it happen.
the first person to say so.
Yeah. We can call it remerch.
A Ream brand, a Rima brand. Yeah.
Yeah, you see, that's
I
adding too
ruined
much.
it, yeah.
Less is more.
I reckon if we do come out with Rima merch,
Yep.
the first person to comment that they want it on one of these streams,
100%.
we'll hook them up.
That is exactly what we will do.
We can make promises on the show that we definitely intend to keep. We do.
We intend to keep it.
Yeah.
We would love to fulfill it.
It'll only be the boss's fault if we don't.
If we get a corporate sponsor for this show, first of all, would that be ethically consistent with what the show's about? I think so. Probably.
Yeah.
Don't you reckon? I think so, eh?
I mean, it depends on the corporate sponsor, but
Well, that's true. Who would we say no to? Sky City?
yeah. Yeah, I think we'd say
I don't think
no
we'd say
to
no to McDonald's.
Yeah.
Would we? Here's the news this week. I'm loving it. Sounds good.
We've got 10 people in on the Facebook stream at the
Hey-o!
moment.
Welcome. Hey-o. Listen to me, honestly. Hey, welcome, everybody. This is fun. Glad you can be a part of this with us today.
Oh, we've just ticked over midday. News is playing out at the moment.
Uh-huh. But that's not really the news you care about, is it? If you're watching this show. You want to stay up to speed with what's happened last week. So that's not really, that doesn't work as a figure of speech. Incidentally, guys, I have faulty microphone syndrome going on right now. So every now and then this microphone kind of drips down and I feel the need to like kind of sneak under
Slouch.
which is not good. When you're my height, everyone, let me tell you about the struggles of a tall man. The world wants to make you
Hey,
slouch.
hold on. That's not your brand, mate.
What's that?
You're not the very tall man.
No, I am a tall man. I'm not a very tall man.
Right.
So there's the tiers.
Yes.
There's very tall man, man.
Luke Weston.
If only you knew how good a joke that was. Ladies and gentlemen, that's why you join the
I'm the
pre-show.
CEO, by the way.
He is the CEO.
He
That's
is.
true. But is
Yep.
he on the stream? That is the question.
I hope not.
Yeah. If
I
so,
really hope not. I
text
could have lost my job.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think you can. Mate, you might get a written warning.
Yeah.
Nah, you just get a verbal warning. Isn't that how it works?
I don't know.
Verbal warning into written warning, performance management. And you're just like, I keep making jokes about the boss's height and I can't stop. All I need to do is stop making the same joke over and over again. That's not how radio works.
No.
Cool. Couple of minutes out, everybody. 2 minutes on the news, then about 40 seconds of weather. Let's make sure everything's set up on this side as well. Ooh. Something just went ping. What was that? Microsoft Teams, horrific. Let's get rid of that.
Yes.
That's the last thing anybody wants.
By the way, if you're wondering what is going on and you've just locked on into the stream, this is the pre-show for Trending. It is our current affairs show, looking back at the trending stories of the week that was. We're going to go through them from bottom to top. We are not yet live on air, but we are live on the stream at the moment. So say hi, jump in the chat. Soon to be hearing the weather, and then we'll be live on air.
Exactly. Just assume partly cloudy with a chance of showers.
With a chance of meatballs.
And that's New Zealand weather for about the next, couple of months, maybe? Something like that. Did you find it cold yesterday? Like colder than normal?
Yes.
I felt so too, especially if you're out of the sun.
And then it's a little warmer today. Oh, the weather waffle. So
good. Josh used to love this. When we were doing the breakfast show together, we get told off all the time by Josh.
The most boring chat is weather waffle.
But this is where we show the difference in our age and demographics, Josh, because the older you get, the more compelling the weather becomes.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. It's like gravity. You can't avoid it. It just draws you in.
We got a comment in from your lovely wife on the stream that it's working.
Hello, my lovely wife.
Don't forget, of course, you don't have to be Andrew's wife to comment on the stream. Everybody's welcome.
Touche. We are an equal opportunities platform, and you can message at any time. Where do we start today? Let me just make sure. This is me talking to myself, everyone, so welcome to my internal monologue. First story, that guy. All right, cool. Lovely. All right. Ooh, down to a minute to go, everybody. A minute to go.
We need that's another thing we'll talk to technical about. We need a countdown clock. On the stream.
Yes.
Because the poor people are probably going, all right, when does the actual
Could you get on with this?
show start?
Look, if you've stuck around for this long, this is really what you came here for, isn't it? You, the real MVP.
All right.
All right.
Switching over to program.
Ooh. Okay, everybody, we're going to switch over to live mode. Won't change anything for you from your side, but it means that everybody listening via Aotearoa will be able to hear us.
You've got the channels for the stream to be able to hear things, etc.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes, I do. Thank you for checking that.
No worries.
Yep. All right, we're going to switch over to live, everybody. So hold your breath, if you can do it for 40 seconds, and the next you hear us speak will be live on the wireless. I was going to say the radio on the wireless, and it came out as the same word. On the wireless.
Wireless.
Anyway, hold caller.
Live on air and online. Trending with Andrew Curtis.
Kia ora, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Trending. It is your favourite current affairs show. Some say the best show in the world. It's our chance to go back through the news from the week that was with a slightly different perspective. I know people can be maybe a little suspicious sometimes of the stories that we are being presented and asking, are they really representative of what matters to New Zealanders? Is there a narrative being pushed? A narrative, by those people in bunkers somewhere who determine what's going on your cell phones.
Those narrative pushes.
Those narrative pushes, you know what they look like. Anyway, here we are to take a look at the stories that Kiwis were the most interested in over the last week. And thankfully, because we do live in the age of the algorithm, we can actually make it work for us. We can find out which news stories Kiwis went looking for more information about. And so, if this is your first time with us, let me welcome you along and let you know that that's what we're going to be doing, journeying through the most popular stories from around the country and taking a bit of time to reflect on them, wonder why they may or may not be captivating for us, and of course, to get your thoughts as well. And the man driving the machine from behind the curtain, does that work as a metaphor? I mean, there is no literal curtain here. I can see you quite clearly.
I could go get a curtain if you so like a paper bag, would that work?
I think we're overthinking this at this point. Josh Beatty! G'day, mate.
Good to be here once again. Yep, stream is up. Thank you to everybody who's locked on in that way. And if you would like to leave a comment, go right ahead, just down below. Also, though, if you are listening on the old wireless, if you missed that, that was from the pre-show, so you've got to tune on into the stream. But if you're listening in the traditional way, 8168 with the keyword Rima.
That's right. So if you're listening along or watching along, this is your place to catch up on the main news headlines from the week that was. So with all that said, let's dive in to our first story today.
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
So this story, if you take a look at popularity over the course of the week that was the 17th most popular story. Now, you might think to yourself, why are you going with 17? Maybe you should just start at like 5 and count down. Well, here's the thing. A quirk of New Zealand, which you may not be aware of if you haven't watched the show before, is that if we just did a literal top 10 every week, you would get 7 sports stories, which nobody wants. So, or at least I don't want. So we're going to go with this one instead, sifting through a few of the relative sports stories as we go. All to say, Matthew Perry was your number 17 search term. More than 5,000 searches, though, about Matthew Perry this week.
Which is a little curious considering, his passing.
Yeah.
Was a while ago.
That's right.
His book, very popular just before that, but I thought he may have fallen out of popular
discussion.
Exactly, but he's back again.
Well, I mean, he's not.
Well,
without wanting to put too fine a point of it.
Yes.
But instead,
clarifying.
Of course, a reporter's come out about the manner in which he passed away. So before we steal too much thunder from this news story, we're going to head to an article now from todaynews.com and details about the death of Matthew Perry, which may have been what propelled him to be the number 17 most popular searched news story in the country.
While their investigation is still ongoing, federal authorities say they believe they know who was responsible for Matthew Perry's death. In all, 5 people have been charged in connection with the ketamine overdose that killed the actor last October, including doctors Mark Chavez and Salvador Plasencia.
Mr. Perry fell back into addiction, and these defendants took advantage to profit for themselves.
This morning, NBC News learning that Chavez's license is still active. The California Medical Board saying the board is aware of the charges, is investigating the matter, and will take appropriate action. Well, Chavez has agreed to take a plea deal. Plasencia has pleaded not guilty and posted a $100,000 bond. The judge agreeing to allow Plasencia to keep running his medical practice, but says he must disclose the charges he is facing. Prosecutors outlining how they believe the 2 physicians worked together to provide Perry with the powerful anesthetic without a legitimate medical purpose in an
Sorry, I'm interrupting that for a second just to think. I keep reflecting on where it says it has to disclose to his patients the charges that he might be facing. How would that conversation even go? Hey, by the way, might have killed a guy. Anyway, shall we continue on with your cold and flu treatment?
You know what it makes me think about?
What's that?
You know when you're watching one of those ads late at night? Not that we watch TV that much anymore. But anyway, and they go to the terms and conditions, and the lady speaks so fast you could never have caught anything anyway. I wonder if he employs the same technique.
By the way, it might have killed a guy. And okay, what seems to be the problem?
Doctor's advice if Prozac isn't for you or whatever it is.
All right, back to the story.
18-count indictment, in which they say Plasencia met with Perry's assistant, Kenneth Iwamasa, about a month before Perry died, instructing Iwamasa on how to inject the actor with ketamine. Days later, according to court documents, Plasencia gave Perry a large dose of the drug, which caused him to freeze up and a significant spike to his blood pressure. Despite the episode, the doctor left the residence after leaving additional vials of the drug for Iwamasa to administer to Perry. Plasencia's lawyer denies those allegations.
Doctors are in a position of authority and trust, and these 2 doctors violated that.
Still, investigators say it was Jasmine Sangha, the alleged ketamine queen, who provided the dose that ultimately killed Perry. The DEA says Sangha was still running a drug emporium when they raided her apartment earlier this year. The beloved actor had long been open about his battle with addiction and the struggle that haunted him behind the scenes.
If you worry that you're having this problem, or you know somebody that is, raise your hand, find somebody who's smarter than you about this, and talk to them and be honest about it, because the secrets are what kill us.
It's so sad.
Very true. And of course, in his case, that is exactly what happened. So a tragic story. And again, part of the reason why Matthew Perry was your number 17 news story. More than 5,000 people, in fact, searching for more information about him. What stood out to you, Josh?
I mean, the conversation around addiction is one that is constantly ongoing. You will be aware if you struggle in terms of any sort of addiction. And I would absolutely echo what Matthew said and bring those secrets into the light. Seek somebody smarter than you. It is difficult. But when I've had similar experiences, to be, transparent and honest, it's quite freeing.
Yeah.
When you realize that others struggle the same way you do.
Yeah.
And it's not a unique struggle to you, which is actually beautiful.
Yeah, you're so right. It's one of the most common things about the human experience is that it's only me. Oh, wait, it's actually everybody.
Yeah.
Also, too, can I say how grateful I am that New Zealand has a different medical system than the United States does. Because to have a situation like this, too, where doctors are able to take advantage of things and take advantage of somebody who is struggling with addiction as well. There was an addendum to this story that I stumbled upon this week that showed that they were selling vials of ketamine to Matthew Perry for $1,000 each. That cost the doctor $12. $12. So they were actually debating amongst themselves, how much can we get this fool to pay for this kind of money?
So he's so dependent.
Yeah, exactly. So all to say, I think we'd all agree to say we hope the book gets thrown at the lot of them.
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
What else do we have, though, to look forward to from the last week? What were people curious about? Well, there were a lot of names, in fact. And another name that popped up was Mike Lynch. Not a name I'd ever heard previously.
No, neither of us actually had really any idea who Mike Lynch was. But then when we did a little bit of research for the show, we were prepping together.
Yeah.
We stumbled across the story attached to him and both went, oh.
So, ladies and gentlemen, here's a bit of the background to why Mike Lynch may well have been in the news stories that Kiwis were searching for more information about. In fact, the 12th most popular search term in the country.
At least one person was killed and 6 people are missing after a luxury super yacht carrying tourists capsized and sank off the coast of Sicily in bad weather.
Can we just say what a delightful accent that is, by the way? Do you think other people around the world would feel the same way if they heard a New Zealand accent reading a story like that?
No.
No, maybe not.
No.
15 people were rescued initially and taken to shore at Porticello, where 8 are in the hospital. Amongst the survivors was a 1-year-old child.
We went down to the boat, we saw these 3 flashes of lightning, and I didn't like the sky. So we stopped inside the docks waiting for this disturbance to pass. Around 4 to 5 o'clock, it hit the town of Porticello, the water spout, tornado. It put a lot of fear inside the harbour. The boat went over the side into the dock.
The British-flagged 56-metre sailboat had a crew of 10 people and was carrying 12 passengers, with British, American and Canadian nationalities, according to the Italian Coast Guard. A helicopter and rescue boats from Italian emergency services were at the scene searching for the missing people. Experienced deep-sea divers were also there to help in the search. Local media said a fierce storm had battered the area overnight, but skies were clear and seas calm by the time the search was underway.
So there you have it. It was to do with the super yacht disaster, and seemed too that the more we found out about the story, the guests on board the yacht were quite the rogues gallery, shall we say.
Yes, one of those on board was Isla Ronald, a New Zealand working in London as a lawyer.
Yeah, but she had recently also been exonerated on charges of, it wasn't extortion, it was some kind of dodgy business practices. A few other curious individuals on that boat as well. But that was it. That was the story that captured people's attention at least far enough to make it your number 14 news story in the country in the last week.
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
And now for something completely different. Monkeypox.
But before we get into monkeypox, not literally, thank goodness, a quick reminder that we are currently streaming. Hello to everybody who is watching on the stream. Yes, we are live on air and streaming at the same time. If you've got any thoughts about the stories that we have been sharing, comment below. Or, of course, if you're listening on in, you can text on through 8168 with the keyword Rima. We'd love to get your opinion right now on monkeypox.
Yeah, now, interestingly too, I love to stay on top of where stories have developed throughout the course of the week. Now, when we planned this segment out, monkeypox itself was the 8th most popular news story in the country over the last week. So as you can see, we are marching through them as we go. But I can tell you, as of today, monkeypox is the most searched term in New Zealand.
Oh, wow, it's taken over.
Monkeypox is infectious. It's everywhere. You walked into that. You walked into that. You can only blame yourself. So what's the deal with the monkeypox? What to know about monkeypox? Now, I think in particular this was referencing emergence of this disease in Tennessee. But if you need more information than that, I believe I've tracked down somewhere in here. Here it. No, that's the sloth virus. Where's the monkeypox
Yeah, this
story?
is the other thing. Look, not to leak information too early, but not only monkeypox, but sloth virus in the...
That's true. I was thinking of sloth virus because we are talking about that in a while. But you're right. No, I found it. So if you need a little information, this is from the Tennessean newspaper in the United States. Not a source we often cite. But nevertheless, here's everything. We'll come back to this if there's still questions afterwards. Let us know if it really did tell you everything you need to know about monkeypox. So there you go. Everything you needed to know. Did that tell you everything you needed to know?
I can't say it told me everything I needed to know. I don't know how much I need to know on monkeypox.
That is a philosophical question. How much do I need to know about anything? My goodness.
Look, I also never want to deter people from watching the stream, but look, that may have been a little bit slower if you were just listening, but some of those visuals...
Quite striking.
Ooh, delightful.
Yeah. I mean, you do wonder sometimes with this stuff, and I suppose because we've all got a little bit of a cultural hangover from COVID coverage, how much of this stuff do I really need to know? Because, of course, I think at any given time there's going to be many a disease all around the planet. Am I really at risk of it? Is there anything I really need to be doing to mitigate my risk thereof?
Yeah, well, I wonder if there's two camps, though.
Yep.
One camp is we've just recently had a global pandemic where we maybe didn't handle it to the best of our abilities.
Maybe.
Just to put black into white. But others may be thinking, it's not really that bad, right? We've been through a pandemic. We know that maybe it was blown out of proportion, that it would
et cetera. Yeah, sure.
So I think probably two sides of a coin when it comes to new diseases that suddenly pop up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Let us know in the chat. Is there a new disease you want to know more information about or otherwise?
8168 with the keyword REMA via the text, or of course, if you're watching just down below in the chat, we'd love to hear from you. Yeah,
let us know your thoughts about these kind of stories as well. Maybe why you think it might have been so popular in the country. Again, it turned out that monkeypox, even right now, is the most popular news story in the country on this Wednesday. Why do you think that might have been?
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
It's time now for the entertainment section, because in amongst all these tragic tales of actors who've lost their lives, business people, and emerging illnesses, it doesn't seem, Josh, there's a week that goes by without a new movie coming out.
Well, no, the Hollywood machine must keep turning.
True.
Although in this case, the Netflix machine really.
Is that not the same thing? Has it not superseded the Hollywood machine?
I think it has superseded, but I think they are still distinctly different.
Right, okay.
Because this movie is specifically released not in theaters, but on Netflix.
So this was a number 14 over the last week. It's called The Union. What do we know about this, Josh?
Okay, so it stars Mark Wahlberg.
Okay.
Who, people have mixed feelings about.
Well, it's probably true about a lot of people.
That's true. He's become a bit of a parody of himself, if you ask me.
Really? Why is that? Tell me more.
He is, so ever since his releasing of his schedule, do you remember back then when he released
how he gets up at like 4 a.m. to work out and
then eat and then pray and then, I'm not faulting praying, but exactly. It was a little bit just bonkers, and he's become quite an extreme individual.
Right, okay.
But he's in a new movie called The Union on Netflix, where basically the premise is every US agent across all the organizations, their identities have been leaked.
Okay.
So they need to get an everyday Joe to come in, somebody that they can trust. His ex-girlfriend is now a spy. She brings him in as the everyday mucky muck to become somebody that the enemy, the bad guys don't know about. They train him up, and he, the blue-collar worker, saves the world.
Oh, naturally. This may not be the point of the story at all, and I don't know if you can answer this, but who have they portrayed as the bad guys?
Oh, I don't know.
Because that's always an interesting one these days, isn't it?
That's a big question these days, yes.
Do you do Russia anymore? Do you do some amorphous Middle Eastern state called something or other, Istan, that doesn't actually exist?
Yes.
But makes you think of, those places, nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
You don't do China anymore.
True.
Because the Chinese market
good
is too profitable.
Point. Right. Instead, you say Japan's the bad guy, and then China loves it. Is that too on the nose?
It's funny because it's true.
Okay, so do we want to see this movie, Josh? That's the real question.
Well, the reviews of this movie that I have found has been less than stellar.
Oh, really?
Yes, quite a lot of them basically simply saying trash. In fact, one reviewer, and I'll just actually flip over so people can see it on the stream, the article we're mentioning, took the premise of the film, chucked it into ChatGPT to see what it would come up with.
Oh.
And, well, it turns out it was pretty spot on as to the plot that was written by a real writer.
So they just gave it the premise
Yeah.
and said, what kind of a movie would you write based on this? And it basically came up with the same premise that is in this film.
Yeah, so it came up with the movie called The Fixer,
Yeah.
described as a skilled mechanic who is unexpectedly recruited by a mysterious non-government agency to become a spy. As he navigates the dangerous world of espionage, he relies on his blue-collar instincts and resourcefulness to stay alive and uncover the truth behind a global conspiracy. That is almost one for one the plot of this film.
Well, maybe that's encouraging for some of you who've thought, I would like to make it as a screenwriter. Maybe it's not that hard. Just go into ChatGPT, throw in a premise, change a few words around, change it through names, dates, times, and all that kind of stuff. How would you feel, though, the overall hit list has been for Netflix movies over the last little while? Because I feel like if you get a 3 out of 5, you're actually doing pretty well for a Netflix movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the big Netflix movie that comes to mind as of late was Red Notice, which was highly publicized. The Rock, Ryan Reynolds, Gal Gadot.
Yeah.
They are making a sequel to that, so obviously it did well enough. But from just my point of view, again, terrible movie.
Yeah, they're not great. They're very much fodder films. I think the only ones that I watched that were fine for what they were the ones with Chris Hemsworth, where he was like a military dude.
It's been done before.
And he
was
unquestionably killed at the end of the first film, and then the box office revived him.
Yes.
So just be aware that no matter what damage you might take to your physical body, if you make enough money, Hollywood will find a way to bring you back to life.
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
Continuing then to march through the search terms that were the most popular in the country. And Josh loves this because it's his favorite topic in the whole wide world. Can't shut him up about it. But the weather and variations on weather were incredibly popular in the last week. Now, this is novel because, well, although, of course, there's always weather to contend with, people really seem to be checking in super regularly about what the weather was doing. Number 7th, number 10th, and number 11th most popular search terms and variations of that over the last week.
Yeah, look, I'm typically a person that says if you start a conversation about the weather, you are a boring person and you need more hobbies.
Oh, so you want me to play this clip about the weather?
No,
okay, sure, we'll do that right now. Here we go.
We're in for a big improvement over the next 24 hours. You can watch it all fade away on the screen. Isobars gain distance between them, meaning easing wind, and showers become a little more contained. What doesn't change is the direction of that wind, still from the southwest, so still cold. Now, the high pressure will cover us tomorrow, but recede east on Thursday, and this allows the next front and the next bout of weather to move on to the lower south. So there are still showers overnight in the south, falling as snow to near sea level, but the last of the showers and snow will clear the east tonight. Now, the strong cold southwest, it doesn't really start to ease till late tomorrow, but the snow line gradually rises to 900 metres by tomorrow night, with just occasional showers left over the lower south and northwest. Snow too tonight for the north, above 700 metres in the east and 900 metres for the central high country. It's clearing though for the northeast tonight, still with cold south to southwest winds, but these ease tomorrow. So too.
Suddenly aware that this is not helpful to anyone because this is the news report from a couple of days ago. So this weather's already been and gone.
But this was the weather, that everybody was wanting to know about.
I see.
Should have clarified. Also, just quickly, Ross has got in touch on the stream to say, hi guys, really awesome to connect with you again. Great show. Thank you, Ross.
Thank you, Ross. Great support.
I imagine Ross is not the type of person to start a conversation about the weather. He's too interesting. He's got too much going on in his life.
You see, you
to
come
talk
in here,
about the weather.
You come in here with your youthful little whippersnapper attitudes, talking down to your elders, like the weather doesn't matter. I will say, I've always found it unusual that the weather being an important part of a news bulletin still occurs, because I think most of us now have access to devices that can tell us about what the weather's doing at any given time anyway. So actually, let us know how regularly you check the weather. Like day to day, do you do it each morning? Is it something that you genuinely will stop the room for? I mean, when I was a kid, without going into too much detail about my childhood, when we were having dinner, we'd often have the news playing in the other room. But when it got to the weather, woe betide you if you should speak. You should utter a word. No,
Really?
no, thou shalt not violate the sanctity of the weather. Not to be done.
Was this your parents that particularly really felt a
Who else would it have been? I was like
desperate need?
10. What are you talking about?
look, I don't know, maybe you were a really...
Maybe I was, meteorologically driven.
Look, on the stream right now, you will see that Andrew is looking very dapper. You could be a great weatherman right now as you are dressed.
Well, thank you very much. We had some photos to do today too, everyone. Side note to this, won't be in the search terms, tragically enough, but hopefully we'll have some more publicity shots and so on. Update some things, because everything you can see for the show thus far is about 2 years old. And, I mean, time has weathered me appreciably. So we want to have a more accurate representation.
Rosemary's got in touch to say, I check the weather every morning.
Okay.
I wonder, Rosemary, is it, she's watching via the stream, by the way, is it on the, like an app, or is it is it listening to Rima?
Well, that's exactly right.
Because the weather is still very important in terms of our broadcast. Every top of hour.
Do you guys want to know a little? You guys want to know a little industry secret? One of the reasons we do weather is it gives us a sense of grounding the station in different parts of the country. Now, you hear you're part of New Zealand, and it's like, hey, we're all part of this whole thing together. But I do question how many people pay that much attention to it.
I honestly wonder if we one day decided to slip something a little bit strange into the weather, if anybody would notice. Also, David's got in touch to say, also on the stream, by the way, just look outside your window.
Exactly.
It's a big one right here in the studio.
Live on air and online. Trending with Andrew Curtis.
Great to see so many people in the chat so far today too, by the way.
Yeah, get in touch. 8168 with the keyword Rima if you are listening. But if you are on the stream, hey, hi to you. It's good to see you. Also, don't forget you can comment below just like everybody else has. Leave us a thought on what you think about the show or any of the stories that you have heard thus far.
That's right. And so continuing then to march through, we put up a social media post that, well, I can say is somewhat related to some of the most popular news stories in the country over the last week. But we'd love to get your thoughts on this one as well if you are joining us on the stream, or, of course, just listening. Traditionally, you want to text us through as well. But we've got a question about your viewing habits.
So, the UFC or the All Blacks, which would you prefer to watch?
UFC or the All Blacks? So for those of you who aren't too familiar with the UFC, of course, we're talking about the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Something that started by the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu family in California. You like you know this.
Yeah, look.
What are you doing?
If you don't know when you're a broadcaster.
He's right, actually.
You just, you confirm
smile and nod.
What your co-host
there
has
you
said.
were trying to support me,
I
and
just
here I
learned
am.
something.
Yep, scoring cheap points by tearing you down. Started by these guys to try and find out, like, what is the best martial art? Like, it's the ultimate guy conversation. You know, what's the best martial art to have? And you get into these weird conversations too. If you ever go down this rabbit hole, by the way, you want to lose like 25 hours of your life. The number of YouTube clips that have been made with people even making tier lists of martial arts, say, which is the best martial art? And what about multiple opponents? And then what about blah, 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 blah. And so it goes on and on. Well, this whole championship was started way back in the waybacks. And by that, I mean like maybe 20, 30 years ago, to find out, well, what is the answer to that question? Now, at the time, I think it was Hoist Gracie was the guy who, part of the Gracie family, won the first ever UFC championship. And can I tell you, that was a rough and ready affair. Like, you could literally do anything. Anything. If you're thinking, what, you mean I could? Yes. But what about yes? Surely I can't. Yes, you could.
Look. We know, obviously, from your very nerdy rant that you've just given us, which way you are probably leaning.
If that ain't the pot calling the kettle nerdy, I don't know what is.
Hey.
How very dare you?
Rosemary's got back in touch to say the AB's all the way. Thank you, Rosemary.
Okay.
The reason we've put this question out there, UFC or the All Blacks, both very popular at the moment. In fact, we won't reveal which one just yet, but they do feature near the top of trending today. But would you like at least the consensus at the moment?
You go on then. Let me know.
Okay. It's overwhelmingly in favor of the ABs.
Okay. I mean, intuitively, I would have thought that's probably
what
I would have expected.
It's not a surprise, is it?
Well, I mean, for you, though, I mean, hopefully made my thoughts obvious on this one, but in case you were wondering, I would choose the UFC any day of the week. But for you, Josh?
I think it's the All Blacks, but that's simply because I really haven't. The UFC, it's usually to watch a paid subscription thing.
True.
Whereas I can usually watch the All Blacks for free.
And what do you mean? What's the difference, though? Like, how can you watch the All Blacks for free instead?
Well, you can go to the pub, or sometimes it is broadcast. Like, it's more likely to be broadcast on free television, the All Blacks, than it is in comparison the UFC.
I'm biting my tongue. I'm biting my tongue. I'm letting you finish.
You need to be watching the stream at the moment, because Andrew's face just then was. I've not seen you that rageful before, really.
I just think when you are spouting ignorance, when you have such a powerful platform around the country, Josh, you owe it to New Zealand to not spread this kind of disinformation.
Am I wrong?
You are so wrong, it hurts. You can find the UFC at so many different pubs around New Zealand whenever there's a UFC event on.
Right.
So many.
But do you think if they were on at the same time... No.
Okay, come on.
If the UFC and the All Blacks were on at the same time, and the local establishment had to choose, which one are they playing in order to bring more patrons in?
Okay, honestly, I really feel like it depends how well that bar knows its crowd.
Right.
Because there are people who are all about the UFC. Like, they would absolutely prefer that to the All Blacks. So I'm going to hedge on that one. I would say, if I had no idea of who my audience was and I was a publican, I would go with the All Blacks. I would assume that's going to be the better way to go. But from a business decision point of view, ladies and gentlemen, as my Machiavellian side kicks in, UFC events go for all day. Like, it takes like a number of hours.
Because they have multiple bouts.
They have like the opening, what do they call them? The pre-card fights, which are like not the main ones. And then you have the main card fights. So you are looking at multiple hours here. I'm going to say conservatively 4 or 5. So that's a lot of drinking and eating. So if it was up to me...
Look, neither of us own a pub, but if we do in the future, we'll let you know what we're playing.
Exactly.
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
Continue to keep your thoughts coming through on this one as well, by the way. If it was up to you, watching the All Blacks of the UFC, what would it be? Let us know.
8168, the keyword Rema, if you are listening, or on the stream, just comment below.
Now, by the way, when we talk about the stream, in case you've just tuned in, we are talking about the fact that you can watch this show live from the Rema studio right now. And not only can you, of course, comment along, but a lot of the stories we play also have video components we're able to play that you can watch along with us. But whether you are listening or watching, it's just a pleasure. It's just a treat to have you with us.
Yeah, hello to Caroline, who is watching. Hello to Ross, who is watching, although Ross has just said he's had to actually flip over to the radio broadcast because his lunch break is finished. So he was streaming.
Right.
Now he's listening.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Hey, happy to have you either way, mate. So thanks for being a part of all this. Let's continue to march through the search terms from the week that was. Now, there's been, I've got to say, a lot of surprises up until now. Most of the stories we've covered, I don't know if I would have predicted. Even weather, I know it's always there and thereabouts. I wouldn't have thought, though, it would rank so highly. This next one does not shock me in even the slightest because it was the number 6 search term in the country, but mortgage rates.
Yeah.
20,000 plus searches in this country around mortgage rates after it was announced that there were some changes coming, and this one particularly from ANZ. So let's head back to the 17th of July for this broadcast from Stuff and looking into the changes that could affect homeowners.
Hi, Mai. Welcome to 3 News. The rate of inflation has fallen to its lowest level in 3 years. The Consumer Price Index for the June quarter shows the annual rate is now at 3.3%. Now that...
Hang on. Just going to say...
Hold on.
Just going to say, Sam Hayes.
Hold on. I just got to put you back on the stream so people can see you when you talk.
Misleading graphic. Why does it say... She said inflation's gone down, but the arrow next to inflation goes up?
That's a good point. You can only see this if you're watching the stream.
Just saying.
I'm confused.
I mean, I think they're saying overall inflation as a thing is something where things go up. But if your point is that inflation's going down, misleading graphic. Anyway, back to you, Sam.
That's down from the 4% recorded in the previous quarter. But that is still higher than the Reserve Bank's target of 1 to 3% annual inflation. Quarterly inflation was flat at 0.4%. Rent prices and council rates are still sticking points, up 4.8% and 9.6% respectively, while insurance costs are a whopping 14% more than a year ago. But with inflation falling, pressure is growing for interest rate cuts, including from the acting Prime Minister. Zane Small reports.
For 3 decades, Neil Seck has owned and operated Salon 101. In the heart of Auckland City, it's a prime location, but the 3 C's, construction, crime and COVID, have caused business to dry up.
If you look at turnover, it's easy. 50% down.
On top of that, high inflation has stripped his customers of their spending power.
Inflation has made people very cautious and in particular come and spend money at the salon.
Today, though, a sign of better things to come. The inflation rate is now at 3.3%, the lowest it's been in 3 years, down from a high of 7.3 in mid-2022 when supply and demand went haywire in the wake of COVID lockdowns. Big price drops for fruit and veggies, medical products and household appliances have helped reduce inflation in the 12 months to June. But domestic inflation remains a barrier, with prices still soaring for rents, council rates and insurance.
Overall, though, the inflation rate is trending down. It's still not within the Reserve Bank's target range of between 1 and 3%, but there is good news for mortgage holders. Economists are optimistic that today's data tilts towards earlier and larger cuts to interest rates.
ASB economist Mark Smith is still predicting a rates cut at the end of the year, but there is a chance of it happening next month.
At the moment, we expect a 25 basis point cut in November, but risks are skewed towards the Reserve Bank cutting earlier than that.
August is when the Reserve Bank gives its next official cash rate update. And with the economy in such a slump, it's coming under pressure to provide interest rate relief, including from the acting Prime Minister.
I can't tell the Reserve Bank Governor what to do, but you don't need an economics degree to see people are hurting, inflation is going down fast, and relief is required.
The Reserve Bank acts independently from the government.
Relief is required. That's essentially an instruction to the Reserve Bank Governor.
It's not an instruction at all. It's an observation around how many people see it right now.
People like Neil Seck certainly do, but he's feeling optimistic.
I do have hope, we've got to live in having hope.
Because with all this talk of interest rate cuts, he has a bit more confidence that his customers will return for their cuts.
We're joined now by our senior political correspondent, Jenna Lynch. Jenna,
No, we don't really want to hear from Jenna, do we? Nobody? Anyone want to hear from Jenna right now?
Rude to Jenna.
Well, look, what's Jenna ever done for me? That's the real question, isn't it? Hardly surprising. Sorry, Jenna, we sure you do a great job. Sometimes we get carried away with our own pithiness.
Just jokes.
Hardly surprising, though, that mortgage rates, of course, were in the search terms. And I think as a follow-up to that story, the Reserve Bank did, in fact, reduce interest rates by 25 basis points, which, by the way, isn't that just a needlessly Ponzi way of saying 0.25%?
Yeah, look, not going to lie, 100% agree with that. But also, I mean, wonderful to hear the gentleman there, sorry, I forget his name, commenting that he still has hope.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very Christian principle to continue to have hope. I'm glad he has it. I've got to say I'm maybe lacking in it a little.
Wow, really? You okay? Do you want to talk about it? This is probably the wrong format to have this discussion, isn't it? But
we're good friends. We'll talk after.
We'll have a chat off here about that one. We'd love to know, though, how much this is affecting you and your household as well right now. Because, of course, housing, rents being the most fundamental part of any household expenditure too, right?
Well, I'm interested that the story we just covered didn't really talk about it in terms of a residential housing market. That's the main reason I would engage with that kind of news.
Sure.
But if you, by the way, have any skin in the game in this story, if you have anything to share, by the way, if you're watching on the stream, just comment below. Or, of course, if you're listening, we'd love to hear from you. 8168 with the keyword REMA.
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
Continuing to march through our stories from the week that was. It's into the business end now, isn't it? And what is the second most popular news story in the country over the last week?
Now, this is interesting.
This is very, very interesting, if you ask me. And we asked you that question earlier on, if you had the option of choosing to watch the UFC or the All Blacks, which one would you choose? Well, if you were purely to answer that question based on Google searches, the All Blacks would come in second.
That's right. They are the second trending
story.
All Blacks specifically versus Argentina.
Yep.
Now, I think a big reason this did rise in the Google searches, of course, we're a bit of a rugby mad nation.
True.
But they recorded, I believe, their 50th win in a row at Eden Park on Saturday just gone.
Yeah.
And because they had lost to Argentina previously,
yeah,
there was a little bit of a worry that that streak would come to an end. But emphatically, they destroyed Argentina last Saturday.
Can I say Argentini is a great way of, perhaps
Did I
coming
say
up with something
Argentini?
at one point. Great way of making fun of an opponent. It could be, who's afraid of Argentini? Nobody at all. So you're right, though. I think a lot of people keen to see if the All Blacks would right the ship. This is a pattern, though, that's happened a few times in our previous losses to Argentina. We've come back and smashed them once we've realised what's really going on. So let's get a few thoughts from the All Black coach himself and also Adi Savia after the win, All Blacks versus Argentina.
Because we own the situation. We put ourselves in from last week to this week, and we talked about having a response, and we did tonight. Especially the first 40, sort of wetter the better, really, wasn't it? When it dried up, made it tough on ourselves. Just really proud that.
Full screen?
Full screen.
Show what we're all about.
How impressed were you with the forwards in particular, the direct play and also the handling and those sorts of things?
Yeah. Oh, look, everything we'd planned the week before, we did this week. Just a really great mindset, wasn't it, Adi? Yeah. Adi led it really well. We all bought in. We know the position we're in, and we just wanted to make honour what Eden Park's all about. Everyone that's had their great moments before, their great performances, and add to it in any way we could.
Outside of the win, Scott, is that the performance that you've been searching for this year, that you've sort of known that the group is capable of, but haven't quite been able to get in past tests?
Yeah, well, look, we've created a lot of opportunities in all the tests, but we haven't taken them. That's the part, we show those first, and look, this is where we're at. We give this, we give that, we score, we can put pressure on other teams. And even like last week, 20-8, we gave them a lot of points, and we just got to make sure that it's there. What we're doing, and look, we've got improvements to make. We know that, like every team does, and we're going to innovate and grow and be better. But just nail those things, and we did tonight.
I can't take any more.
I agree with you. I was going to comment. You know what my comment is?
What's that?
Do you think either of them have had media training?
Short answer is no. Short answer is no on that front. Poor guys, man. Like, it's, you think that you're becoming a professional rugby player, and that means that your job is to play rugby.
Yeah.
You are wrong. You are so wrong. Your job is to get in front of the camera.
The camera, by the way,
dance.
Your camera just then, as you were saying that very poignant moment, just like zoomed in on you as well.
Does it do it again? If I do this automatically, does it naturally know what I'm doing?
No, unfortunately not. Yeah, look, their job isn't to be in front of the camera.
No.
It's probably like something that the least important part of their job. But
sure.
We all want them to. We all want the comments. We all want to get the inside scoop, especially after the game. So
okay. Can I really stir the hornet's nest on this one?
Go for it.
Does anyone really learn anything from these conversations? Like, when you have post-match analysis, I know we have entire channels dedicated towards this, and maybe you are a ruggerhead and it's your jam. I feel like, at the risk of setting myself for a fall in future when we have to cover sports, for other events, and
when
they have
we
these
have Adi
press
Savia
conferences, exactly,
in the studio as a guest.
Well, they're banging down their doors trying to get on the show, aren't they?
Amazingly.
These kind of things are excruciating. I don't know how. There must be a demand for it. Surely you can hear there's a lot of people in the room with them right now asking them questions about stuff. And I mean, it's been a minute and a half since we stopped playing that video, Josh. What did he say?
He said that they did better than they did last week, and he's very proud of them.
No. But
No?
again, like not I want specifically. I want I
Oh,
want to know
specifics.
word for word.
No
Like,
idea.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, we put these poor guys in these positions and this is what they have to deal with. But I mean, good on them. I guess it's part of the job, even if it's not the main job that you signed up for. So well done to the All Blacks. They were your number 2 news story in the country, according to the Google searches.
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
Almost there, team. Almost at your number 1 news story, but we've got a couple of honourable mentions for you.
Yeah, look, let's take a look at, and this may feel quite far down the list, number 47.
Number 47. A name that was once absolutely everywhere in this country and yet has fallen.
Although returned, I suppose.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
But I do feel like this positioning shows how much we have moved on from the era of one Kimothy.com.
Kimberland St. George.com.
Eupastus Magenta.com. Kim.com being extradited to the USA, or at least we've begun the extradition process. They signed off on some court document thing. It's all very technical, isn't it? The point is he's been fighting this for a while, but it looks like it's finally in the works, and I know the US want to prosecute him for stuff and things, mainly due to mega upload, which goes all the way back to I want to say 2010.
Oh, you reminded me when we were having conversations off air about this, how just Kim.com, as you just said, was everywhere. Yep, mega upload. Thank you. Yep. Not only that, he created a political party.
Yeah. Well, 2 of them, in fact. So he started the Internet Party.
That's right.
And then was responsible for one of the most unholy hybrids in the history of New Zealand politics. I speak, of course, of the Internet Mana Party. What in the name of all that is good was that? Surprisingly enough, the party tanked at the polls. No, really? They did?
No.
Apparently, people didn't want to vote for a party with Kim.com attached to it.
I can't believe it.
He actually came out with a statement after the fact and said he realized that his brand had become toxic. It's like, you realize this now?
Wait, did he?
Yeah.
Did he say that himself?
Yeah, absolutely. He realized that his brand had become toxic.
Wow.
Can't imagine why, Kim. But my goodness, what a personality. I'm also reminded of a time when he held a town hall meeting and managed to get people like Edward Snowden, the guy who linked the NSA documentation and then ran off to Russia, where I believe he still is right now. Also, Julian Assange. He had him on via, again, live Zoom streams and all this kind of stuff for both of them. Maybe it was Skype. I don't know. What did we use back in 2010?
It probably was Skype, to be honest.
Yeah. Boom, ba boom, boom, ba boom, 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 ba boom. You guys remember that tune? Anyway, had this town hall meeting where he was going to uncover all these unseemly goings on in New Zealand politics, and then it just ended. Nothing really happened. So he's like, hey, thanks, guys. Yeah, that's right. The man is in control, and there are shadowy forces manipulating your government. Thanks for coming, everyone. Bye. And everyone's like, but you said you were going to tell us stuff about New Zealand. Disappointing. So,
look, we can promise at least this show is not so much of a tease.
No, that is true. That is true. We are going to be upfront with you about this fact. So, yes, it's been a 12-year fight to face these copyright cases in the US, fighting extradition. It's not over yet, though. He's going to appeal and everything as well.
Oh, he said he won't go.
Well, I can't wait to see what happens if they have to force him. Do they trank him or something like that? Do they carry him onto the back of a train?
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
Get the mental picture, I dare you. Or let us know what comes to mind when you hear those words. Kim.com, tell us what comes to mind for you.
Yeah, 8168 with the key word Rima. Or, of course, you can get in touch on the stream if you are watching. Simply comment below, Facebook or YouTube. If you're looking for the stream, by the way, simply head to rima.co.nz.
One more honourable mention as well before we get to our number 1 story from the country over the week that was. It's another public service announcement because everybody wants to know, what is the deal with the sloth fever virus?
Yeah. So, look, we've already covered monkeypox in the trending results thus far for today's episode of Trending.
Yep.
But sloth fever virus also making a bit of a feature in the trending results.
Makes us all wonder, of course, the ultimate question to ask is who would win in a fight between sloth fever virus and monkeypox. But
I thought you were saying monkey or sloth. I was like, monkey, of course.
Oh, monkey, absolutely. Far more athletic. Not even a question. Let's get a bit of an update, though, on what is the deal with the sloth virus, thanks to ITV News.
A virus nicknamed sloth fever has been seen in Europe for the first time. Oropouche virus, or sloth virus, gets its name from the slow-moving mammal as they are thought to be an animal host for it. Patients usually develop a fever, and common symptoms include rashes, headaches, and muscle or joint pain. It's spread through biting midges. The current outbreak is spread across South and Central America and the Caribbean. Brazil reported its first known deaths of 2 women in their 20s who had contracted the virus. There's been 12 cases reported in Spain, 5 in Italy, and 2 in Germany so far. 18 of the cases recorded in Europe had travelled to Cuba, and 1 had travelled to Brazil. The risk to travellers heading to the Americas has been described as moderate for the moment, and officials advise those travelling to affected areas to take personal protective measures. Let's not worry ourselves yet, though. So far, there is no evidence the virus travels from human to human, so the UK Health Security Agency has assessed that transmission in the UK is unlikely.
So keep your hands off your sloths is basically the moral of that story, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Sure.
Yep.
All my sloths that I have.
Exactly. Also, too, how annoying is it that every illness is basically the same thing? It's like, here's a new name, but it gives you, you know, muscle aches and tiredness and sore bodies and rashes and stuff. And like, so basically it's just a disease, like everything.
Yeah, I mean...
What? What's so unique about anything you just heard in that story?
Well, is it about being unique? Is that what you want from your virus? You want
If I've
it to
learned
be
anything
unique?
from TV over the last few years, everything is about being a beautiful and unique snowflake, Josh. That is entirely what it is about. So look, guys, you've waited up until now. We've got a few minutes remaining. Why don't we take a look at the #1 news story according to Google searches over the last week?
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
And what surprises me is not only the position, but the number of searches relative to the other stories that were contending for the top spot this time around. The All Blacks versus Argentina, around 500,000 searches.
Mm-hmm.
But UFC 305, double that amount.
This is... So we put a question out, just to go back to that really quickly, as to which you would prefer to watch, UFC or the All Blacks. Our audience, at least, overwhelming majority, the All Blacks.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're looking at the trending results, the UFC has convincingly come in at #1 in terms of your most trending story over the week that was.
You might call it a knockout. Didn't go to decision on this one. Absolutely smashed it. So look, it was a huge weekend. And I think something that has become more popular with New Zealanders over the last few years, particularly due to the appearance of Kiwi middleweight Israel Adesanya. He was born in Nigeria but grew up very much in New Zealand and identifies as a Kiwi and Nigerian. So an incredible representative of both cultures. He was the middleweight champion up until very recently. Lost the fight against Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland lost to a South African guy called Dricus du Plessis. And so on his return to the octagon, which is where they fight in the UFC, not in a ring, not in a square, even though they call it a ring and it's square. Anyway, the point is, goes up against this guy. And even though 2 of his other compatriots from City Kickboxing, who is the premier stable, you might say, for UFC fighters coming out of New Zealand. They won their fights. Kai Kara France, he won in the first round in about 40 seconds. Dan Hooker, on his return, managed to win a particularly gruesome affair, which, if you're not a fan of the UFC, that fight might put you off because, let's just say, there was some bleeding. But no, Israel Adesanya going up against Dricus du Plessis, or DDP as they call him, also known as Diamond Dallas Page if you follow the WWF from back in the 80s and 90s.
Oh, wow.
You don't care about that at all.
No,
the
not
point
really.
is...
Did you hear the... like
I could
the
feel...
oh, wow?
Just a...
Oh, wow.
It's like if you could feel an inhalation, just like sucking the energy out of the room. That's what that was.
Hey, just quickly before you continue with this story.
Yep.
Just going back to sloth virus. We got David who got in touch to say, sounds like COVID or the flu, which is kind of what you were saying.
Yeah.
Not very unique, but he says, I'm also recovering from COVID at the moment. Or the flu, one of the two. So, David, we do hope that you recover speedily. Thank you for watching on the stream. But back to the UFC.
Back to the UFC. And, in fact, back to Israel Adesanya, because one of the cool things about him is that he is a great personality and kind of harkens a little bit to what was going on with that All Blacks interview. Because I think UFC fighters know that it's not just about how you perform in the ring, but it's also about how you represent yourself to other people. Are you seen as an exciting contender? And then people, of course, buy into you. They want to see you fight, so you get the opportunities to fight for the belts and all that kind of stuff. Now, unfortunately, in this case, Israel lost, but he has been building up his own YouTube channel over the last little while. Now has over 1 million subscribers, 1.14 million, in fact. If you go to Freestyle Bender on YouTube, you can watch his videos. But he did an interview pretty soon after the conclusion of the fight, where, of course, he had lost. So I thought I'd bring you a few reflections from him about what he thought about the battle. And I thought also provided a bit of insight to some of the verbal sparring that goes on before the actual fights themselves.
You guys had an extended exchange in the octagon after the fight, before and after the decision was, the result was announced. What were you guys?
Oh, he just gave me a lot of props, a lot of love, a lot of respect, and you know, I accepted it, and I shook his hand. And then after his interview, after when we were living in the cage, we just talked, and he said, sorry, maybe. I can't remember, but what did he say? He said, just gave me a lot of props, and he said, hey, you know I'm a big fan. I'm like, of course. I was like, I know, like, and I said, look how far we've come from way back then. Who would have thought? Now we're here. And we're like, fuck yeah. And then we hugged.
So that was what he had to say post-fight. But what I thought fascinating about this, of course, is that these guys recognize what's going on with promoting a fight. They talk a big game, but then, of course, after the fights, pretty much universally, you find that these guys just acknowledge, look, you know what? Who was a better man on the day? Who put the work in? All this kind of good stuff. And then, they kind of move on. So people looking forward to seeing what happens with Israel next.
Does that not, though, for you diminish the whole bravado of the...
Oh, yeah, fair question.
Yeah. The build-up to it, the fight, they're going at each other. Yeah. They are, they're speaking like they want to destroy the other individual, and quite angrily.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If you can get into wrestling, as I just referenced to earlier on, WWF, where we know it's all pantomime and not real, and still appreciate it for what it is.
That's fair.
Then I think it's basically the same principle in play here. You just really, you get into it. You've got your guy sucks. My guy's awesome. My guy's going to waste your guy. And then, you kind of just have to move on with your life afterwards.
I guess you can't come in going, oh, yeah, he's probably better than me, to be honest. I'll just do my best and give it a go.
Well, there you have it, though, guys. The #1 news story in the country. A big surprise there. The UFC 305 event that happened over the weekend. More popular, in Google search terms at least, than the All Blacks playing Argentina. So does that shock you? What are you looking forward to seeing next week? We're going to discover together, because we are well and truly out of time today. So thanks once again, Josh, for your help with making all this happen and driving the stream. And thanks to everybody who joined us on the stream as well. Thank you for your comments in the chat today. And for those who've been listening via the radio, it is a full multimedia experience. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. So once again, those have been your news stories, your most popular news stories from the week that was. I'm Andrew Curtis. Thanks again for being a part of Trending.